Welcome to Geometry Pre-AP, one of the greatest subjects in the world. Today we're going to learn how to do trig with our calculators. Always remember that when you have a graphing calculator, it's always best to reset the memory. You never know what somebody did on the graphing calculator before you got it. And so let's run through that process. So here's our graphing calculator. We hit second plus 7, 1, 2, and the calculator's been reset. Every time we reset a calculator, it is not ready for trig with what we do in geometry. So we need to get it set up and ready for trig. So first we hit mode. And let me remind you that since this is trig and we're dealing with right triangles, angles, as we know it in Geometry Pre-AP, are only measured in, at this time, degrees. And so on our screen over here, we see it flashing on float. So if we go down, you'll see this degree right here on this third line. That means we're going to measure our angles in degrees. And if you don't do that, your calculator will not do the trig right for this class. As you get into upper level classes, you eventually start using radians, and we'll probably teach you a little bit about radians later on in the year. All right, so second and quit, second and mode there gets us out of that. And so now we're back into our screen. So now we're going to go and work some of our first problems here. And here's our first one. And so if we take a look at this triangle, remember that when we're working trig, remember I like to circle my angle, and then I like to label my information. This is my opposite. This is my hypotenuse. And so we're going to have SOHCAHTOA all the time. And so we know that we're opposite and hypotenuse, where the sine of 23 degrees equals the opposite, which is 8, over the hypotenuse, which is x. We learned in a previous lesson that we can interchange these extremes here. And so this is x is equal to 8 divided by the sine of 23 degrees. All right, once you have it to here, remember that this is your setup. That's what we're going to ask to see. And this is some of your work. Once we got to this position, now it's time for our calculator. So we go to our calculator. We type in 8 divided by the sine of 23. Always close your parentheses on a calculator. It just makes sure the calculator does the right thing. And when I'm done, I get 20.47443732. And remember that in geometry, we're only going to take the first 4 decimal places. So 20.4744 is our answer. So x is equal to 20.47. What was that? 44. All right. And so that's how we work trig for this first problem. Here's go through another one. Pause the video. Once you pause the video, turn it back on once you got your answer. All right, so now that you've started the video again, we're going to look at this problem. And so we label our sides. This is the adjacent. This is my hypotenuse. And so SOHCAHTOA, like always, remember to write that. The more times you write, the less likely you are to forget it or mess up when you're spelling it out. So that's going to be the cosine of 52 degrees is equal to x over 12. Remember, make it a proportion. This, again, is your setup. We always want to see that. And so then we get x is equal to 12 cosine of 52 degrees. Back to our calculator. 12 cosine 52 degrees. Enter. So here's our answer, 7.3879. All right, and so there's our answer for our value there. These won't be too tough as long as you make sure you pay attention to whether you're multiplying or dividing when you get your answer. Of course, that is all due to the proportion when you're solving it. This next slide here, where we're finding an angle, this is totally different calculator strokes, and people always forget this one. So I suggest you practice this, write this process down so that you can remember it each time. Like always, this is my angle here. So I label my information. This is my opposite, this is my adjacent. So back to my SOHCAHTOA. All right, I've got that out. Opposite adjacent means I'm going to have a tangent of x degrees equals 15 over 8. Now this one works totally different. You don't work this problem as a proportion because our unknown is the angle here. So we have to tell the calculator basically to go backwards on its chart. And so we go in our calculator, we hit second and tangent. So basically what that does, that tells the calculator take this number and find what angle goes with it. And so if we go back and look, our numbers were 15 divided by 8. And so I close that, and then I hit enter. Now since this is an angle, we're going to round this to the nearest degree, so we're rounding to the nearest integer. And so this would be 61.92, so that's going to be 62 degrees. So go back to our problem. X is equal to 62. Now I just asked for the value of x, but this problem at the top says find the angle measure, so our angle measure is 62 degrees, and that would be our answer because we're going to the nearest whole degree. All right, and so we have one more for you to do. I want you to find the angle for this one and find the value of x for this one. And that's what you'll turn in for your notes. You may stop the video and get to your work.